Nora is always super energetic, healthy, happy. We felt pretty lucky and like we could have another kid. When Mac came along, and when he was 3 months old is when Nora was diagnosed. Nora started limping. We thought it was odd, so we called the pediatrician. They had x-rays done of her left leg, her hip, couldn't find anything. And then she woke up from her nap one day and her left arm was limp as well. We took her to the emergency room right away. And I think Alex and I both knew at that point something was seriously wrong. They said that they'd found a large mass on her brain, the size of a navel orange. They didn't know what it was, but they brought an oncology team right away to meet us. So we knew that it was cancer. She deteriorated very quickly. And they operated on her right away. They got the whole tumor out, which was such a blessing. We naively thought, oh, great, they got the whole tumor out. So that means this is probably the hardest part of our journey over. Almost 2 weeks from resection, we started with chemo. And I had no idea what to expect. Cancer's bad, but chemotherapy on a 2-year-old is horrendous. After 11 days, we came home. I was just thrown into this new identity of being a cancer mom. At the end of Nora's first cycle of chemo, I got a call from Brooke from There With Care. And she knew all those things that I probably needed help with. And she went through the list and I was like, oh yeah, I do need groceries. I do need cleaning supplies. I do need antibacterial stuff at my house. When Nora gets a fever, we immediately have to go to the emergency room. So it's one of those things where you need a bag ready. But when you're diagnosed with this and then you go from brain surgery right into chemo, I didn't have time to have a hospital bag packed. There With Care brought a toiletry bag, just things that a normal person wouldn't think to do. There With Care does them. So that's taken such a huge weight burden off of my shoulders so that I can be the mom and I can be interacting with my kids and making memories.
I say without a doubt that I could not do my job without There With Care.
As their social worker, when I meet with a family, we're looking at their whole family system and what are the stresses in their lives that are making life just more difficult.
The worst thing has happened. Their child's really sick. They haven't totally processed what's happening and don't really know what they need. And that's where I feel like There With Care thrives.
Families' basic practical needs and their emotional needs, they go completely hand in hand. Just because they're basic and practical doesn't make them less valuable. They actually are a gateway and a tool for us to be able to make that emotional connection with families.
It makes it easier for me as a social worker, as the clinician, to address the social and emotional needs of these families, because I know that There With Care is handling all the logistical pieces.
We are from a small town in rural eastern Montana, very far from a hospital. We have 6 children, including Cassidy. Cassidy was born 3 months premature. She had a very severe lung disease and she only weighed 2 pounds. We came to Denver and she was being considered for a trach. There was several complications that followed after she got her trach surgery. Because of the longevity of her hospital stay, you do have to adjust and you do have to try to find a sort of your new normal of going to the hospital and being at the hospital all the time. We finally moved our kids to Denver We know no one, and we have no family close by here. It's so hard to ask for help. I can't even tell you how hard it is. People ask us how we are surviving this, and I like to tell them that we're getting through this because there are complete strangers that bring us this great kindness, like There With Care. Kim from There With Care called me the day that we got to Denver, and she just continued to call and be like, what do you need? Do you need groceries this week? Do you need that? And sort of put the list out. They brought groceries to my doorstep. That was huge. There With Care also helped with us when we were renting a house to be able to make a rental payment, and that was a great burden off of us. My children were so excited because they got little birthday gifts. Even Cassidy got a birthday gift on their birthday. It's just great that people care. There's people that know that you're struggling, and they have worked with other people that have been through the situation. There With Care just showed up for us, and that was what really counted.
When our patients are diagnosed with some of these life-threatening illnesses, it just totally changes the dynamic of the family. You might go from a two-person income home to one, and that's such a big adjustment.
The very practical things in life when your child is diagnosed with a chronic illness become mountains.
Having There With Care to bring crock-pot meals or just having the food in the home with snack bags, it takes off something more they have to prepare and plan for.
Elijah was a miracle baby. We were told that we wouldn't be able to conceive, and we did. Elijah was 11 months old. One day when we were playing, I noticed his gait became a little bit crooked, and he laid down on the floor and said, "Night, night, Mama." And that was very strange. Then I noticed a little bit further regression, and rather than Elijah starting to cruise, he went back to crawling. I called the pediatrician, and we were seen the very next morning. Right when we went in, she told us, "I'm afraid that your son has a brain tumor in the posterior fossa area." The look on her face, I knew it was serious. That was on a Tuesday. By Friday, we were having the brain tumor removed. When Elijah got sick, I realized he was my #1 priority, and so I had to take a leave of absence from my employment, and we went from being a 2-income earning family to a 1-income earning family. We heard about There With Care. The social worker came to us and told us about an organization that would provide help for us. We live about 45 minutes from the hospital, and so my husband driving back and forth every single day became fairly costly, so gas cards helped a lot. When Elijah had just finished his first round of chemotherapy, we found out that we were pregnant. We still thought that he was in remission, but we were told that for 100 days we couldn't go out into the community, so this left us feeling incredibly isolated. It was October 12th, 2018. I thought that he had a little stomach bug, and after it persisted for a few days, they recommended that we have an MRI. I was sitting in the exam room holding Elijah. His chest was to my chest. The oncologist came in and he said, "Lee, Elijah has relapsed." I'll never forget that day or those words. It was really hard because I knew at that point it wasn't good. I thought once Elijah passed away that There With Care would no longer be involved. And I think that's when we needed There With Care the most. That was when we were the worst. So to receive a call from Mary Beth, just to say, how are you doing? We're still here for you, made all the difference.
What's so unique about There With Care is that they are there right by their side the entire continuum of care. And I think any continuity that we can provide families is so meaningful.
If I didn't have an agency like There With Care, I would be spending so much more of my time searching for resources. The support that I offer and the counseling that I provide would be minimalized.
When a kid is, diagnosed with these chronic or acute illnesses, I think it's just, again, a really isolating experience for not only the child, but, for the family. There With Care's mission to, get a lot of community support and a lot of community involvement to kind of rally around these families is really significant to kind of bridge that gap that I see come up so often.
I'm just so grateful for their continued support for us and for Cassidy. When they just show up and do it, it matters so much.
Just the things that I don't even think about, There With Care has thought about them, and they've made sure that we don't go without. I don't want to say that it's like everything's going to be okay, but it's just it's shown some light on this dark journey.
To have an organization that was a stranger before all of a sudden becomes a part of your family and your support network and your community, step in and say, I care, it matters the most.